an oop and a oop. Oh my god, hey bestie. So basically we're gonna steal your land, steal your culture, steal your resources, and then steal your people. And if you don't want that to happen, I guess we could just like force you to steal your neighbors that you're warring with, so we don't steal you. Oh, okay, that's perfectly reasonable. Let's do that. Great. So here are our prisoners. Can we go now? Alright, okay. But unfortunately, we can't do that at the moment. We're gonna steal you guys too, because we can't.
Oh, so fabulous.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel once again. It's your girl Dumebi. If this is your first time coming across my channel, you're welcome. I do hope you decide to subscribe, and if you are a returning subscriber, you guys know that I love you. It's so good to have you here. Welcome back. So first of all, this video is strictly for educational purposes. Please do not go searching out the people that I talk about in this video. Don't send them any form of hate comments, threats, or violence. This channel does not support any of that. So this very video was something that I came across, and it had a lot of likes, over 50,000 likes or so. And I was like, okay, so this white man or white boy, I don't know what to call him because he's quite young, but of course he's old enough to be featured on this channel and made to be held accountable for the video that he made. Let me go right ahead and play his video. Before I even say more, I need to let you guys know that I checked his page and I saw some other videos that I did not really like. There was definitely some kind of anti-black undertone to it, anti-African specifically, just like this one. You see, when I went to the comment section, I could see a lot of both Africans and African Americans there. You know, African diaspora people, Caribbean people were there as well. And I could also see some palm colored people that were applauding him, like, yes, tell them, bro. And I got to see some comments saying that this is like a common rhetoric that white people use when they are trying to like deflect, you know, from taking responsibility for what they did to African Americans, right? I personally did not know that it's a common talking point that they use. But anyway, before I go into what I think, let me play people's speeches and responses to him.
This is my absolute favorite argument from these people. It's my favorite one because I always have the same analogy for you. Because let's say someone purchases a firearm and they use that firearm to harm someone that's close to you. But instead of the guy that harmed the person that was close to you getting arrested, they instead arrest the gun store owner. You'd be pissed. You'd be pissed off. You'd be like, what the f? Then you come to find out that them purchasing guns legally didn't happen as often as they make it seem to be, and they would rather often trick or steal the guns from the gun store owners. Wild. No matter how much of this moving the goalpost you do, guys, it's always going to come back to you. Just pay the reparations and start the redemption arc already. Like, come on. Like, we're ready to move on in this manga.
White people who ain't never read a damn book in their life about the origins of race and transatlantic slavery do this shit all the goddamn time. Like, I don't know how many times it needs to be said that, not to say that the Negro race or whatever would love slavery had this not been the case, but like, literally the distinction between slavery pre-transatlantic slave trade and post is that basically everywhere else in the world slaves were like a class, an oppressed underclass, a poor class, but a class. The classical form of slavery that had been used up until the transatlantic slave trade was more akin to like sharecropping or indentured farming for most of history. Like, slaves had the ability to buy themselves out of slavery. Slaves had social mobility of some sort, you know? Like, but the difference between that and this is that transatlantic slave trade literally reduced black people to chattel. That is why it's called chattel slavery. Do you know what chattel means? Chattel means property. Like, transatlantic slave trade literally stripped us, not just of our cultures, of our languages, of our religions, not just of those things, but like of our very humanity. Like and not even so much to the point where we were no longer human as to be animals, but we are considered that like point between humanity and animality. Like, the whole hierarchical structure of race as we know it stems from this fucking time in history. Like, y'all do this every fucking 6 weeks, but you never read, you never learn anything in between. You're so fucking mired in your own anti-blackness that you never take any time to learn anything about the history that you espouse so goddamn much. Like, the fact that I am black and you are white is because of this. The fact that, like, it's dumb, it's racist, it's tired, y'all aren't smart, you're not creative, you're not interesting, and, like, you're not the first person to think of this. People traded other people as slaves for thousands of years before transatlantic slave trade. Yet, we are still suffering the consequences of that one. So that's why we talk about that one, you dumb bitch.
Africans didn't create or control the European slave trade, but okay. Who do we blame for this? Did Africans do this? This still goes on today. How about this? What about this? Blame everyone but themselves.
So this is actually common ignorance and misperceptions basically created by European propaganda. Because basically what happened is in Africa, they practice a very different form of slavery than what modern American and European slavers use. They did very much chattel slavery, which is race-based and basically for life. Now in Africa, their version of slavery was a little bit more flexible than that. Now I want to start off by saying no forms of slavery are good or benevolent. They're all wrong in any form. But in Africa, particularly Central, Western, and Southern Africa, their form of slavery was very different because when they went enslaved different communities, they often weren't even separated from their families and communities. They still were very much part of their family groups. And they formed bonds with their enslavers, and that many of them ended up marrying within their families, and all of them eventually secured their own freedom. It wasn't a permanent, lifelong situation. And before anybody said, well, Africans did perform slavery similar to Europe and North America, that was very much Northern Africa, and that was a different ethnic and racial group. Basically, those people who are descended from Arabs, their form of slavery was a lot more similar to Europeans, and neither of them were similar in race and skin color as the rest of Africa. So when Europeans began to colonize Africa, they observed this form of slavery that they saw the Africans practice. And because of their own ignorance and what they believed slavery was, they assumed it was the same thing. In a lot of ways, they used to justify them taking and enslaving Africans. Now, many of the African tribes who would sell people off to them, due to their own ignorance, they also believed that the form of slavery that the European practice was similar to theirs. And by the time they realized it wasn't, that the people they were giving away were basically gone for life and were never seen again, it was too late. Because many of the Europeans had gained a foothold on the continent and began to mass kidnap and enslave Africans as a result. So no, it's not as simple as black people are responsible for their own enslavement and being brought to America. It's just a simple matter of two different cultures not being aware of their differences in culture and what they believe slavery was, and one taking advantage of that and creating an old narrative around it.
I'm so tired of this argument. Africans sold their own people to Europeans, so they're like just as bad. They did not sell their own people. You're talking about African warlords who sold prisoners of war to the Europeans. They did not see them as their own people just because they're black. They saw them as the enemy. Now, I'm not justifying what they did. It's still a horrible thing, but it's not the same as deciding an entire race of people should be enslaved. It's not the same thing. One of them is a lot worse. I don't know why I have to explain this to you.
Do y'all think there was an idea of black consciousness and POC and black unity when other African tribes were selling other African tribes? Like What? This argument, because not only does it try to apply ideas of a black community and black unity to pre-colonial and colonial Africa, but it also tries to act like that slavery was just a two-way street and black people were in it too. When slaves would get their ears chopped off or some limbs chopped off, do you blame that on the Africans? Like, y'all do realize that the transatlantic slave trade stopped at a certain point, and then the domestic slave trade began. Do you blame breeding farms on these Africans who were selling this like slaves? Like, where does it end? Where does it start? That's my question. Because the brutalities of slavery cannot always be blamed on the Africans that sold other Africans. What? These Africans that sold off other Africans ended up regretting it years later.
Now, why would I believe anything that comes from the mouth from the same descendants of the same people who started the Berlin Conference, which was the imperialism conference to colonize Africa, separated between all major European nations? Why would I believe anything that comes from y'all mouth? You guys are still constantly to this day colonizing Africa. No, we're not believing in shit that you tell us.
So since you and your comments decided we didn't know better, I guess I'll teach my people and you and your comments better. How about that? Your people went over there lying, and that's why they gave up men. Hello? They gave up their men. Do-do-do. Things started looking weird. Y'all got questions. A war broke out. Do. Y'all stopped going over there. Why did y'all stop going over there? Oh, maybe because that same spirituality and that same voodoo y'all swear is so bad for us whooped y'all's ass. It whooped y'all's ass. Oop, I said I wouldn't cuss again. Sorry. But anyways, and then on top of that, all y'all do is kill, steal, and destroy. Someone like the devil. Y'all remind me exactly of the devil. And why do I say that? Because the same people who created your whack ass white Jesus created the devil. Like y'all did everything to f up the world, and I wouldn't be proud of that, because y'all owe so much reparation that if y'all become minorities, y'all could be completely wiped out. Y'all know that, right? That's how much a lot of other ethnicities and regions just don't f with y'all. Y'all need, the best thing for y'all is to mind y'all's business. Because, baby, this ain't the 19s.
So I'm not going to lie, you guys, I was kind of proud of the way African Americans responded to him, because I felt that video was made to gaslight African Americans. It was made to make them feel like y'all are silly. Why don't y'all go fight the Africans, give them the same energy and all of that? And they did not fall for that bait. A lot of those teachings even educated even me. Yes, I'm not going to lie. Now, you see in that guy's comment section, I saw a lot of Africans saying, oh, this is true, it's true. Like, a lot of us know and admit that, okay, yes, there was definitely some Africans that sold other Africans, right? Africans are not denying that this happened. But speaking from the perspective of an African, I think a lot of what the African American said is actually true. And I need to admit to you guys that, I know I've said this on the channel before, a lot of Africans really do not know our history, especially as it relates to slavery, even how colonialism happened, how Africa became partitioned into different countries, and a lot of us don't really know. Let me speak particularly for Nigeria. Our education system, I won't say that they don't teach us, but it's not something that is consciously made to be taught, and we are consciously made to learn. That is why you see a lot of us now are getting our information and getting our education about these issues of slavery and the African diaspora. We are getting this information and education on the internet. I cannot begin to recount how many things I've learned about the African diaspora on TikTok and on YouTube, on Google. And of course, I know that some of these sources might not give you information that is 100% correct, but I can tell you that I've learned so much, and I'm happy that I've been able to do that. So now you see the Africans that were in the comment section agreeing with him. A lot of them had this guilt about it, and a lot of Africans, when they think about that, there's this guilt about it. But the question is, because we've not really been taught how it happened, what happened, we don't really know the details. We don't know the why or the how the slavery happened. So most of us have, you know, these bits and pieces, maybe stories that have been passed down from like our grandfathers and all of that. Like me, my father told me something about a tribe that all they did was move about, get into a community, get the trust of those people, and begin selling them off. You know, they trick them and stuff like that. So the point I'm trying to make is, I do not have all the answers, but I definitely know that some Africans actually did sell other Africans, but they were not selling people of their tribe. I think that is also the problem, because people always look at Africa as, oh, one people, one country. They do not know that we have different factions, ethnicities, tribes between us. So it is easy for someone from another tribe to sell a prisoner of war from another tribe, right? So we were not selling our family members or our relatives or people from our villages. We were selling strangers, while some of them were actually threatened and manipulated into letting some of their people go. Some people were also kidnapped. They were not sold. This is something that needs to be told. Slavery has always occurred in different parts of the world, right? But it has gone down in history that chattel slavery was the worst kind of slavery, as you guys heard in those teachings. So it is safe to believe that a lot of people that were selling others into slavery to these white men did not know how brutal it was going to be. That doesn't excuse it. I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just trying to say you can't just clear cut and say, oh, you all sold your brothers. The truth is, even till today, I've seen TikToks made by a lot of Africans talking about how when they started hearing about the reality of the slavery that our African American brothers and other people in the diaspora faced, they are usually in shock. Like the first time I heard that they were feeding black babies to alligators, I couldn't believe it. The first time I heard about buck breeding, I think that's what it's called, you know, about them actually grape without a G, graping the men to force them into submitting, to kill their spirits, to make them more subject to the white man. You guys, I could not believe it. I legit cried. Whenever I watch documentaries about slavery, I cry because I'm like, I can't believe this happened to our people. So I do not believe that a lot of the people who participated in, you know, selling people off and all of that knew how bad it was. And even till today, people are still shocked to find out these details when we hear about it. And the same people who took people from Africa also colonized us. They also stole a lot of artifacts and treasures and natural resources from Africa. So what makes you think that the Africans entered into this kind of bondage with their open eyes? What made you think we entered into this whole, in quote, partnership willingly? It was never a partnership, in my opinion. Even till today, African countries are still telling the British to send back our artifacts in their museums and things like that. So these people came to steal, kill, and destroy. What does that sound like? You guys know what that sounds like. If you're Christian, you know. But like, it's not funny. So I'm just trying to say that Africans were also victims. Look at the state of our countries. Look at what we are passing through. I'm not trying to vindicate Africans from selling other Africans. I'm just trying to say, I don't really think we gained anything from doing that. And I don't think it was all a plan to betray our people. A lot of African countries are trying to, you know, reach out. Some countries, the governments are involved. I think Ghana did that. While some countries, it's just individuals, like someone like me. And that is one of the reasons I have this YouTube channel, so that our African diaspora know that they are loved and supported, and we have your back. We are allies. You have people that love you here. When things happen to our black people in diaspora and they have to do all those matches to ask for justice and stuff like that, I go to the comment section of Nigerian blogs that carry these stories, and I see people saying, why can't these people just come back home? They should come back to Africa. What are they still doing there? There are people that want you guys back. There are people that want our African diaspora back. Of course, I'm not going to say everybody, because it can't be everybody, definitely. But there are people that want you guys to come back. I'm not saying that our African diaspora have to come back. It's a personal decision. If you want to fight, if you don't want to, that doesn't stop you from also claiming your roots and trying to reconnect to your culture and your people, no matter the part of the world that we are. So all in all, I'm just happy that from the responses that I saw in the comment section of that guy's video by African Americans and other African diaspora people, and by the stitches, I'm happy that our people do not fall for that bait, because this is them trying to still divide and conquer. This is this guy trying to fuel diaspora wars that we are already struggling to quench the fires of. So I'm happy that we didn't fall for that bait, and I'm happy that some people are going to be getting education about how the whole slavery thing happened, because there's a lot of us, Africans included, that don't really know these details. But I really do wish the governments of our countries would get more involved in trying to bridge the gap with our African diaspora. Maybe offer them citizenships if they want to, help them relocate back to the continent if they want to different countries if they want to. You know, I wish we could do more to bridge that gap and to make amends for what was done. You guys let me know what you think in the comment section. What do you think about what he said? And the funny thing is, this guy trying to always throw shots at Africans in his videos, I'm surprised to see that he hasn't gotten a lot of hits, which is one of the things I admire about our African Americans. If he was throwing shots about African Americans that way, the way he's trying to throw shots at Africans in some of those his videos, I'm sure by now you would see so many stitches calling him out, educating him, and reporting his account and getting him blocked. But Africans are still yet to form the attitude of tackling things. We just, you know, we look the other way. We don't want to talk about racism. We don't want to, you know, educate people. We are just, I don't know, we're just not there. I wish we spoke out. I wish we spoke out and spoke up more and stuff like that. I think that's one of the things that I actually admire about African Americans. You guys have a lot of discussions going on. You guys try to educate yourself, try to, you know, you guys just do a lot of things that I wish Africans could be more vocal, like our African American brothers. But anyways, hopefully we'll get there one day. You guys let me know what you think about this video. Just let me know in the comment section. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as well. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.